Here's more wrestling news for January 4th, 2023, and we're kicking off today with the Bloodline, who have dominated WWE like no other faction, with no sign of their winning ways slowing down anytime soon. Holding both the undisputed WWE Universal title and the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles, the group has certainly been successful, and expect to see plenty more of them on Raw and SmackDown. While there is still technically a brand split, many big names appear on both shows, and according to Fightful, that crossover of talent won't be slowing down anytime soon. The report adds that this is especially true for the Bloodline, as both Raw and SmackDown will be used to accelerate their feuds. Right now, the Bloodline is feuding with Kevin Owens, who is seemingly poised to face Roman Reigns at this month's Royal Rumble, and expect this storyline to play out on both Monday and Friday nights. Over to AEW, and today marks 4 months to the day since All Out, which was the last time fans saw CM Punk in the ring. Punk's future with AEW looks incredibly uncertain at this point, with reports that he is seeking a contract buyout, and his recent actions on social media have had fans talking. On his Instagram stories, Punk shared several images related to AEW, including ones that tout him as the best action figure seller of 2022. Another image showed that Punk's return to AEW after his foot injury was the most watched AEW video on YouTube, amassing 2.8 million views, while the second most watched, another Punk video, did just over 2.4 million. Many have seen this as Punk throwing shade at AEW, noting how much success he brought to the company that now seemingly wants nothing to do with him. Whether Punk ever returns to AEW, that's up to himself and Tony Khan, and while names including Chris Jericho will fight to prevent his return, his success with the company cannot be denied. Punk's comments at All Out did not go down well with people, to say the least, as what he did completely overshadowed the rest of the pay-per-view. Punk complained about the Elite and Hangman Page being unprofessional when he acted the way he did, and he's now picked up an award that nobody would want. On his Click This podcast, Kevin Nash handed out his end-of-year awards for 2022, and when it came to the Boo Boo Face of the Year award, there was only one worthy recipient. I hate to beat a dead horse, I'm gonna go with our friend Phil. I'm not even gonna call him CM Punk anymore, cause he doesn't work anymore. With reports of top AEW talent refusing to work with him if he is brought back, Punk's days of winning wrestling championships may be over yet again, and we imagine this award isn't one that the Chicago wrestler will gloat about on social media. Back to WWE, and it's been nearly a month since Bobby Lashley was fired by Adam Pearce, a rash decision the authority figure was quick to undo. While Lashley has been unfired, he is yet to appear on TV, and something big could be in the works for the two-time former WWE champion. PW Insider has learned that there may have been discussions backstage about turning Lashley heel again, and that may not be all in mind. As eagle-eyed fans will have spotted on Raw this week, Pearce was seen talking to MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Cedric Alexander backstage, all three being former members of the Hurt Business. The immensely popular group was split in early 2021, despite all four men pleading with Vince McMahon to not split the group, and fans may be in store for a much different Lashley with a familiar team around him once he is back on TV. Another big name fans haven't seen in a while is Matt Riddle, who has been in rehab since failing the WWE wellness policy for the second time. Riddle has also been dealing with multiple allegations of cheating on various women, making him one of WWE's most controversial current superstars, but that won't prevent his return. For the February 13th, 2023 episode of Raw, the show will be in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, and the original Bro is one of the many names advertised for the show. Interestingly, Lashley is also being advertised for that week's Raw, implying that he will be back on TV by February 13th, though will likely return much sooner. It's ironic that Riddle will return on the pre-Valentine's Day Raw, given the multiple allegations of cheating that have been leveled against the original Bro, but fans of the former US champion can expect to see him back next month. During this week's Raw, Alexa Bliss challenged Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair in a match that saw Bliss lose by DQ. Bliss's rage, brought on by Bray Wyatt, caused the goddess to snap, but one segment in the match seemed very familiar to comedy fans. During one spot, Bliss swung wildly at Belair, who was able to avoid getting hit by simply keeping her 5'1" opponent at arm's length. On Twitter, fans suggested that the spot had borrowed from a scene in horror parody flick Scary Movie 3, in which series regular Brenda does the same trick as Belair to stop herself from being attacked by Samara from the ring. While this may have seemed like mere coincidence at first, the spot in both movies ended up the exact same, with Belair and Brenda winding up a big uppercut to get themselves out of the situation. Whether this was an intentional homage or just pure coincidence, this was a fun spot in the match, and with Bliss attacking Belair after the match, their feud is clearly far from over. NXT news next, and Bron Breakker is the unquestionable top name on the brand right now, and has achieved this feat without using his family name. Of course, fans know that Bron is a Steiner, and his father Rick has appeared on TV in the past, and Breakker has paid tribute to his dad and Uncle Scott in the past. Now though, Breakker has been accused of doing more than just paying tribute, as during this week's show, Grayson Waller says he has stole his father's gimmick. On his Grayson Waller Effect talk show, the Australian called Breakker overrated and said he was just ripping off the more successful members of his family, but that didn't faze the champ. Speaking about a recent spot where Breakker speared Waller but was injured because Waller had a metal plate, Waller said the spot had gone viral, but Bron gave his opponent a viral moment of his own, dropping him with a power slam and a dive. Waller has become a major star in NXT and poses arguably the most serious threat to Breakker's NXT title reign, but this was a show that the Australian superstar won't want to remember anytime soon. If you're a football fan, then you will have seen the news about Damar Hamlin, the 24-year-old Buffalo Bills star who suffered a cardiac arrest early on in a recent game. After over half an hour and much consideration, the Bills match with the Cincinnati Bengals was suspended, and now Chris Jericho has opened his heart and his wallet to the young player. On a GoFundMe, Jericho wanted to donate a staggering $10,000, but the site only allows a maximum $5,000 donation. Undeterred, Jericho merely donated twice, the first time by misspelling his name as Crus Jericho, before donating a second time with his name spelled correctly. The NFL was blasted for even considering resuming the game, with Owen Hart's name trending on Twitter as fans compared the situation to WWF Over the Edge 1999. And we're sending our best to Damar and those who know him at this time. More from AEW now, as Keith Lee is known as the Limitless One, but recently the former NXT star locked down an interesting new trademark. Filings made on December 28, 2022 show that Lee filed for a stylized X, which has been approved, and the trademark filing was done through attorney Michael E. Dawkins. Dawkins has worked with countless wrestlers to lock down trademarks for their own names and other terms, and now the Limitless One has this styled X to use as he sees fit. We mentioned earlier that Grayson Waller has become one of the most prominent names in NXT, and he never shies away from trolling both the fans and his opponents. Waller is adept at using social media to rile up those he wants to get on his bad side, and now he's made it clear just what he thinks of the fans, even those who are on his side. Taking to Twitter, Waller shared a video of himself with some fan mail, saying that fans have no idea how much this means to him. In fact, Waller showed just how much it means to him by throwing the fan mail in the trash, saying that the well wishes from the WWE Universe are now where they belong. Waller doesn't care about the fans, but with the Iron Survivor Challenge winner destined to have a title match with Bron Breakker eventually, those fans may soon have no option but to call the Australian the NXT champion. Now, during last week's Dynamite, the Acclaim released a scathing music video, one that hit too close to the bone for Karen Jarrett. After Max Caster claimed that Karen's husband Jeff was stealing money like it's Kurt Angle's wife, referencing Karen's previous marriage to the Olympian, she unloaded on Twitter, accusing Angle of being unfaithful during their marriage. Karen threatened to reveal 24 years of dirt on Angle, and now Double J himself has commented on the situation. On his My World podcast, Jeff addressed a tweet by Kurt saying Jeff needs to use his name to get heat, and Jarrett called the idea delusional. Jarrett had some accusations of his own, claiming that Angle has tried to get a role with AEW, despite Angle repeatedly stating publicly that he remains loyal to WWE. Speaking about the claim about stealing Angle's wife, he said he kept quiet for 12 years out of respect to Kurt's children, Kyra and Cody, but now that they're old enough, said the idea that he stole Karen is the furthest thing from the truth. Double J will no doubt be looking for revenge on the Acclaimed for this line, which has certainly become a huge deal both in and out of the company. Speaking of couples, it wasn't too long ago that CJ Perry teased her husband Miro's return to WWE, saying that eventually everybody comes back to the company, but does that include herself? Since her release in June of last year, Perry has been busy on her Brand Army account, where fans can pay a monthly fee to see exclusive photos and videos. Mandy Rose has been making a killing on her website, even earning $1 million in December alone, but Perry isn't interested in doing the same. During her interview, Perry said that she would absolutely close her Brand Army account if it meant she could return to WWE, even though she's earned more in the last 6 months than she did on her highest-earning WWE contract. Perry added that she's blessed to have the sponsorships and deals she has now, but would always plan on returning to wrestling, even claiming she'd do a WWE return for free. We don't know how much exactly Perry has earned online, but it was said that she had a multi-million-dollar deal with WWE at the time of her release, but money clearly isn't the major factor in the former Lana's plans. For many fans, the appeal of AEW is that they are an alternative to WWE and do things differently to Stephanie McMahon's company. While WWE will very rarely allow blood, it seems a week can't go by for AEW without someone wearing the Crimson Mask, but this is a problem for one veteran employee. During a podcast appearance, Tony Schiavone discussed blading with Conrad Thompson and believes AEW goes too far at times. I've seen enough of it now, I'm on the different side of the camera now, to where I think sometimes it's too much. You see kids, I'll call them kids, who don't have the experience of blading themselves as they should, and sometimes it's too much blood because they don't know how to do it. Blood has always played a role in wrestling and when done right can be an effective way of building up the story of a match, but AEW sometimes takes it way too far, at least according to Schiavone. And we're ending today with Ronda Rousey, who married her husband Travis Browne in 2017, 2 years after the couple started dating. Browne and Rousey have been together for years and welcomed their first daughter in September 2021, but there was once a man who caught the rowdy one's eye. In an interview with Karen Bryant's MMA Heat, Rousey recalled her first meeting with CM Punk and said she was starstruck to see him in 2014. I didn't have anything to say except for I think the first thing I said to him was, "I love you," which is terrible and not smooth. It's not smooth at all. It was mere months after Rousey met Punk that the former AEW World Champion tied the knot with AJ Lee, and with Punk and Rousey both happily married, everything ended up for the best for everyone involved.